our next project, I'm going to be using Most Adored Designer Series paper. Just going to do a quick flip through the package for you. As soon as I get my fingers working, I'm going to be using the plaid pattern here. But each side has a gold and, oh, maybe I'll use that one instead. No, maybe, we'll see. So gold and then just a plain patterned paper. It's a little bit Valentine's, a little bit subtle. The gold side would be perfect for coloring or applying ink with either the brayer or blending brushes. And yeah, this paper is so pretty. The coordinating colors are basic white, flirty flamingo, and real red. I'm going to be using real red and basic white for my project that we're going to be doing. So our first step is going to be cutting out, oh, this is the stamp set that we're using, Ice Cream Swirl. There are coordinating dies with it, but I am going to show you the fussy cut method. So I'm going to cut my paper in half. So we're going to go to 5.5 and then score it at 4 1/4. I don't usually do colored card bases, but I am going to for this one, and I'm going to cut an interior panel out of my basic white. The panel for the inside is going to be 1/4 inch smaller, so we're going at 4 by 5 1/4, and I'll probably use a little bit of Designer Series paper as well for the inside. All right, and then our patterned paper we're going to do at 4 inches. Now I do have a paper share coming for the mini catalog, and I'll be giving a bit of a selection too for papers for Celebration, just so you can take a little bit of a peek and see what we've got. So if you'd like to play along with that, I would love to have you join in on that share. Just contact me and I will hook you up. All right, I'm gonna do, actually I just changed my mind on this. I'm gonna cut off about 1.5 inches off of the edge for this one, because I want to do something a little different. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to grab my bone folder. And we're going to trim. And actually, I'm going to trim off this piece as well. So now I've got it at 2.5 is what I'm going to want. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to stamp. So we've got all of our Designer Series paper cut. We've got our interior piece cut. We've got a piece of red that we're going to put off to the side. And then we're going to stamp our ice cream cone and our ice cream swirl. Do that. Grab our ice cream swirl and grab our block. I am going to stamp separately. And I am going to stamp just trying to decide if I want to stamp in Memento or if I want to stamp in color. I think I'm going to stamp in color. And as I mentioned, I didn't want want to stamp that in that color. Not a big deal. I'll have a chocolate ice cream for next time. All right, this is what I wanted to do. All right, so we've got brown, and then we're going to do strawberry ice cream. And we're going to stamp this guy in Berry Burst. Perfect. And then with the reds, reds and blues actually, I find tend to stain stamps. If you want to avoid that, you can absolutely try to stamp in Versamark, like add a coating layer onto your stamp. That generally builds up a little bit of a barrier so that it won't be quite so noticeable. That's real red. I'm going to be coloring with my blends today. I'm just trying to see if I have something that's pinkish. Flirty Flamingo, maybe. Where's this one? Melon Mambo, maybe. All right, so I've got Crumb Cake and SU 400, which is one of the oh my gosh, my words today. SU 400 is one of the neutrals collection. All right, this one is Melon Mambo. This one is Flirty Flamingo. I think we'll start with Melon Mambo and then maybe blend in some Flirty Flamingo. Gonna make a bit of a strawberry swirl here. So just very quick and dirty coloring this. I know that a lot of people are a little hesitant when it comes to coloring because they feel like it needs to be perfect, and I am the very first person to admit that it does not have to be perfect. As long as you're having fun creating, that's pretty much all that matters. I don't get fussed about too much in my craft room, usually. Glitter. Glitter is the only thing that puts me on edge in my craft room. All right, and the good thing with the blends too is that you can go ahead and if it's too dark, you can go over it with another color. If it's too light, you can build up color and add depth and dimension. And I think I am probably going to go over this with another color just to kind of bring it all together. There's also a color lifter that you can use that helps lighten up any areas. It doesn't completely remove the color, and the more you go over it with the color lifter, it can tend to bleed a little bit, but it does help to cover up any of those oops moments. And honestly, if I have an oops moment when I'm coloring, that's where the embellishment goes. What color is this one? Okay, this is a retard color. It is petal pink. I'll lose my blends in a second. My collection is growing quite rapidly, it would appear. I think it's time to look at adding a bit of a different storage solution here. All right, and then we're just going to go over it very quickly with the petal pink, which is a super, super light pink, just to kind of give it some cohesiveness. kind of blend out those colors. Go right to the edge. Now, Memento is the best color or ink type to stamp in. It does, the Stampin' Up! Ink tends to feather a little bit, but I like it because it's giving it a nice little subtle look. All right, now we're going to go in with our crumb cake. This is the dark. Actually, or is this the light one? I think I might just go over it with, I've been changing out the colors with the neutrals. The higher the number, the lighter the color. So I am just going to go ahead and color this guy with the crumb cake. It is a little dark, but then I'm going to go over it and add the details. And because we don't have the top of the cone here, it does make it a little bit easier. And when coloring with the blends, I like going in circles where possible because it helps hide some of those marker marks. This ice cream cone was put in the oven for just a little bit too long. It's all good. By the time I finish, it'll be fine. Okay. So we're done with that guy. We're going to bring in our super light and add some detail. And you can see that as I'm going over it, it's lifting up some of that dark, and it's adding a little bit of detail. Now there are two ends to each of the Stampin' Blends. There's a pen or a writing end, and then there's the brush end. Usually I prefer the fine point tip just because I find that it gives me a little bit more control. But sometimes you want that little, if you have a big area, the brush tip I find is easier. And then we're just going to lighten this area up a bit as well. And then we're going to go over it with that other one. Where did I put it? SU 400. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Okay, and then we're just going to go and then all over everything with this lighter one again, just to kind of blend it all together. There we go. All right, and now we're going to fussy cut. Grab scissors. When I fussy cut, I tend to move the paper instead of moving the scissors. And it's also easier for me to make my paper a little bit smaller before I get started. So fussy cutting, especially for images like this, really, really easy. And as I said earlier, there is a die set that coordinates with this. But I like fussy cutting sometimes. It's just very relaxing just to see the pattern and the shape come through. It only takes usually a few seconds. I don't like fussy cutting things that are super, super intricate though, because I just don't have the patience for that. All right, and I do have my scrap bin right off to the side here. So as I finish, I just toss my scraps in there. Some scraps I don't bother keeping. The things that are really, really tiny generally get put either into the burning pile. Now the top doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered. It either gets chucked into the burning pile or recycled. All right, now we're going to assemble our card, and then we're going to figure out what we're going to use for our sentiment. Okay, so this is for the inside of our card first. I don't always put a sentiment on my cards. Sometimes I need to figure out who it's going to before I add the sentiment. All right, we're going to put our piece of designer series paper on the front. Now, if you join Stampin' Up! During Celebration, there is a join offer right now where you can either choose a glass mat that has an $82 value, and it's got the grid lines, and really, I really want one. There's also a silicone piece and a cloth to help with cleaning it. So that is yours for free if you join during Celebration. Or you can choose an extra, I believe it's $37 worth of product, which is also pretty spectacular. All right, so we're going to put our ice cream cone on our paper here. So we're going to do the right side as it's laying down. It'll be the left side as we're looking at it. So we're just going to kind of balance it, kind of put it a little bit more, kind of half and half-ish. And then we're going to put our ink. Actually, I'm going to grab our Berry Burst ink, and I'm going to show you a little trick to hiding the edges. So I didn't really like the way that the white is there, so I'm just going to roll, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to flick. Yeah, that's not going to work the way that I want it to. So I'm not sure I have a sponge dauber on my desk, but I do have a blending brush. Don't worry about the color on here. It is clean. It's just well used and well loved. So I'm just going to go ahead and flick the edges a little bit to kind of mask that bright white. You could also use a sponge or a sponge dauber, really whatever you've got handy. There, I like that a little bit better. It's not quite so in your face. And then I'm just going to go around the edge here, kind of blend it a little. And build up color just a little bit more. All right. So we've got our strawberry ice cream just about done. And again, it's the right-hand side that we're going to want to add our tape to. And then just place our ice cream onto our cone, making sure that, I should have added a little bit of adhesive here so that it stays stuck. And then I'm going to grab some gems. Let's see what we've got in our package here. Let's see. Actually, we'll use the iridescent foil gems. They're just a nice little bit of shimmer and shine. Just looking for my take your pick tool that I just had. Surprise, surprise. Oops. going to use the smaller gems, and I'm just going to put a few around on our ice cream. I like odd numbers, so I'm probably going to do like 5. And then let's figure out, I think I'm going to make this a thank you card, and I'm just going to stamp it right onto the ice cream, I think. Can always use thank you cards. So there's our thanks, and I'm going to do it in Berry Burst because I have it out. We're good to go. Now, sometimes with the photopolymer stamps, there's a little bit of a residue left over from the manufacturing process. So I do like to usually stamp it first. See if it will stamp properly, and then we just go ahead. And again, if you're worried about it staining, you can always stamp a little bit of the Versamark over top, or a super light color of Stampin' Up! Ink, just to kind of build a little bit of a buffer. So let me know what you think of the ice cream card. I think it turned out really, really well. I got it to make mostly school cards, actually school birthday cards. And I'm really excited to use this one. So thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.